Alright, where's this gonna go? Who's next? Court is now resumed. Shall we pick up where we carried off? How would you like to proceed? Well, I guess we're done with Beatrice for now. I still like Beatrice's reaction when we started the Divine Edict, and Marnoth was just like, damn it. Son of a bitch. I think we should review what we do know about the murders. We do have a plethora of witnesses to work with. That's correct, so let's start from the beginning. Are we going to start with the 7-year-old? Because I'm still pretty sure he just got polymorphed straight up. It all began at noon yesterday morning. I was at my house in Ratholm with Arya and my bodyguard Celeste. I was speaking with them when a courier suddenly delivered a letter to my house. Actually, that's the other thing. Where did that letter end up? Because it had to have been someone that Pierce would want to send it to, but also someone that would be incentivized and knowledgeable enough to send it to us. So how does that work? I was speaking with them when a courier suddenly delivered a letter to my home. I have a feeling Celeste is part of House Frega, just to throw it out there, but I have no actual idea. It was from Garrick Pierce. He wanted to meet with me and Celeste at the Grand Cathedral of the Scaled Lord at 2 p.m. On that note, Remus, how did you feel being at the Cathedral of the Scaled Lord, you being the Scaled Lord? Is this like your favorite place or what? To make sure we were there on time, we arrived at the Grand Cathedral at 1 p.m. Yeah, we were there early. At the time, we didn't know the cathedral was closed to the public, but the knights guarding the cathedral allowed us through anyways. Also still curious, how did they get control of the knights, including making them all fall unconscious, which they still are? Apparently they were expecting us. That should not have been possible. Yeah, Lucio commented on that earlier. Due to the solemnity of the situation, we were very particular about who was permitted to enter the cathedral. It's possible someone pulled some strings to let us through. Again, what would be the motive for that? Because we wouldn't need to be there to do what we're doing now. I wonder what the point of that was. Or you two entered the cathedral illegally. Well, I'm sure that knight from the Kingsguard can vouch for us. I know about every order given to the Kingsguard, and none of them were told to let you two through. Well, it's possible the night we met fell comatose like the others. And as long as they're unresponsive, we'll never know. Perhaps we should continue. Yeah, we're belaboring this point. Let's move on. Huh, yeah, shut up. Shut up, Lucio. Go polish your axe. Anyway, we arrived at the church and spent the next hour sightseeing before we went to meet Pierce. In that time, we met with Remus, Lucio, Arya, Oster, and Ulrich. And around that time, Arya and Oster left together to meet with the High Speaker in his quarters. While exploring the cathedral, we spoke with Von Sanctus and Sybil. Then we spoke with the 3 Frege sisters and Eris Ilmater. Eris Ilmater? Oh, again, how are we going to get on her trail? Because we really need to be like, what's with her? And here, Lucio's like, wait, Eris Ilmater? She's a friend of Beatrice Frege and spooky as hell. The Kingsguard wouldn't let her bring her familiar into the cathedral, so she brought Eris to guide her instead. Again, we really need to be more suspicious of Eris than we are here. I know we as the player have knowledge, but damn, you guys are thick. Anyways, we left the garden at around 1:45 p.m. to meet with Pierce in the prayer room. And at around the same time, Arya left her meeting with the High Speaker and felt nauseous. The last thing she remembers is looking at Lake Galacrond. A likely story. Regardless, getting sick of your shit, Lucio. At 2 p.m., Oster went to pay respects to his father's body. Unbeknownst to him, a mage had placed a glyph of contingency in front of his father's coffin. This should also be kind of a dead giveaway because Arya doesn't know that spell to the best of my knowledge. So someone had to have done that. Let's see, compendiums. Ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. So nothing along the lines of the glyph of contingency there. And also not here. So who cast it, motherfuckers? It was set to trap him within a force cage. What a despicable act. Considering what followed, the attack on His Majesty must have been a diversion. Right. It was also about this time that both Beatrice and Eris went missing. Considering the timing of it all, someone must have taken control of Beatrice's body after the trap on Oster was sprung. And are you saying this patron controlled her as well? No, I don't think so, you don't? According to her contract, her mind belongs to the Empress of Discord, not the patron. Yeah, but... Wait a minute. But it was both, right? Because we called out when we did our little divine edict. We said Empress of Discord. So the Empress of Discord is the patron in both cases. Oh, actually, no, that's not necessarily the case, because the contract says the patron is whoever hands Arya the contract. So it could be anybody. I could hand Arya the contract, and I would be the patron. Furthermore, Arya's blood contract was created by the Empress. Yeah, there we go. So the Empress isn't necessarily the patron, although she could be. It's clear that the patron and the Empress were in league with each other. If they are two different people, that could be very interesting, because I'm not sure who the patron would be. Who else is running around handing people contracts? Wonderful. Another demon we have to worry about. Anyways, the patron and the Empress had all the pieces they needed. That's when they began the massacre. The patron took control of Arya's body, and they used her to murder Von Sanctus at 2:05 p.m. Presumably, Arya started a fire in the common room around this time. And since Von Sanctus's body was found there, this must have been after she murdered him. Shortly after, Prince Alarak spotted smoke from the fire and asked Arya what was going on. Arya responded by using an unknown transmutation spell to incapacitate him. Again, probably polymorph. I don't know why we're dancing around it being polymorph. I'm not sure what information is going to come from us discovering that, but I feel like it's pretty obvious she turned him into like a squirrel or something. To think they would use her to attack the prince as well. I mean, she barely attacked him. She could have done much worse than that. If he was a squirrel, he couldn't have done much to defend himself if Arya really wanted to kill him. Luckily, the effects of that spell were only temporary and Alarak came out unharmed. After this, the patron used Arya to murder Sybil at 2:15 p.m. She brought Sybil's body to the westward balcony, where she dumped it into Lake Galacrond. High Speaker Arcus witnessed this, but he wasn't aware of what she'd thrown off the balcony until much later. Again, this guy's face just seems a little bit... He seems like that one meme guy, the guy who's holding his coffee, who's just kind of pretending that things are okay. I forget the name of that meme specifically, but he looks a lot like that guy. The High Speaker thought this encounter was strange, but he continued with his business of drinking his coffee. He headed to the prayer room, but he was turned away by the knights standing guard there. Meanwhile, Celeste and I were talking to Lord Pierce. This is fine, exactly. Arya's throwing a dead body into the river. This is fine. When we show up for the meeting earlier, he was clearly expecting someone else to show up. We tried to get to the bottom of what was happening, but he refused to answer our questions. And at about 2:20 p.m., we heard a commotion outside. Celeste went to investigate, and that's when Celeste fought Arya. The patron's target was Garrick Pierce, but Celeste was too powerful to neutralize. They fought each other for about 15 minutes before Arya was finally able to push past her. Hey, Lucio's like, huh. During their fight, the Empress sent Beatrice into the prayer room. She probably made Beatrice invisible to move undetected. She then used her to cast a sleep spell on Pierce and me to knock us out. I remember checking the time close to when this happened. It must have been around 2:30 p.m. If your testimony is correct, Beatrice Frege was actively used in this plan. She seems to have been. Yes, and considering how quickly the massacre unfolded, the Empress must have coordinated with the patron. I wonder if they are going to be different people. It wouldn't be hard for the Empress to coordinate with the patron if the Empress was the patron. But if there's Eris and someone else, I wonder who. I will take a quick coffee, za. Sure thing. They probably planned how they would use Beatrice and Arya to carry out the murders. Anyways, after Beatrice knocked us out, Arya finally pushed past Celeste and entered the prayer room. And before Celeste could chase after her, she had already murdered Pierce. Arya and I were already unconscious by the time Celeste entered the room. I wonder why Arya was unconscious. Is that just something that happens when they release control? The patron had already achieved their goal of murdering the three nobles. Again, why those three? Like, why Pierce? The other two I get, but Pierce is just a nobody. So she probably fell unconscious after they released their control over her. Watch it be this guy. Watch this guy having been a demon the whole time. Arya and I regained consciousness shortly after. I feel like this is our gumshoe, but at the same time, maybe he's hiding something. Maybe this was the baddie the whole time. That would be kind of cool. I don't think so, really, but, you know, you never know. That's when the Inquisition arrested her for the murders. Lord Pierce was one of the victims. Your meeting clearly had more significance than I'd realized. So tell us, Cuthbert, what was your discussion about? It's fine, you can tell them. Alright, as long as it's okay with you. For the past few months, Celeste and I have been investigating who her birth parents are. I recall receiving many complaints about her during the Lord's Ball. Yeah, she was a little upfront, wasn't she? Supposedly, Garrick Pierce had the information we were seeking. That letter he sent to us said that he wanted to trade this information for his freedom. I assumed this meant that he wanted me to be his attorney. Do you honestly expect us to believe that? I mean, I didn't even believe it when it happened. Why would he ask for help from the attorney who indicted him in the first place? We thought the same thing. And when we arrived for the meeting, it was clear I wasn't the intended recipient. That means that Pierce sent that letter to someone else. Again, it's either going to be, like, maybe Frege, but also the actual royal family, which is a little Mary Sue, but it could be the case, so that might be why we're cutting to Rathalion here. You better not be lying to us, Cuthbert. Frankly, I don't much care if you believe me. Regardless, if we examine every action Arya took, we can build a psychological profile of the patron. Interesting, interesting. Again, very Simon Blackwell. I will give you that. To begin, the defense would like to call the Inquisition commander to the stand. His testimony might shed some light on how Von Sanctus and Sybil died. Despite all these witness accounts, we still only know how Pierce was murdered. That is technically true. Yes, he was impaled using a blade magically frozen from his own blood. In a grim sort of way, it's almost poetic that he died the same way Flintheart did. But we doubt that will give Celeste any kind of closure. Anyway, we need to find out exactly how Arya murdered Von Sanctus and Sybil. The massacre was swift and efficient. It must have required a lot of forethought and coordination. If we figured out who might have had this knowledge, we might be able to find out who did this. I see. That sounds as good a plan as any. This is the exact same thing I said before, but honestly, my confidence is waning. Kingsguard, escort Commander Orium White to the witness stand. Isn't everyone literally here? Just call him down. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Right, I... Dude's got a great accent. I'm standing in front of a fucking dragon. What the hell's going on here? Commander? I'm sorry, I can't do this. I quit, I'm done. How am I supposed to act like this is normal? A giant lizard is standing right behind me. Calling me a lizard is highly offensive, Commander. Orium, did you just assume his pronouns? Sorry, your scaled lordship, sir. Commander, just try your best to testify about what happened. We've already gotten used to this by now, all right? You should have been in the gallery. It all started when we received a report from the Kingsguard. The prosecutor attacked Prince Alarak, and a fire had broken out in the common room. We weren't sure what the deal with Steelwind was, so we went to the common room to put out the fire. But when we got there, we noticed a bunch of unconscious knights in front of the prayer room. We went to the prayer room. That's when we found Steelwind and Cuthbert unconscious next to Pierce's dead body. We later found the bodies of Von Sanctus and Sybil, too. That's when we realized that she offed all three of them. Insulting the judge is unwise. Yeah, especially when the judge is a dragon. And right behind you. It could literally just lean forward and gobble you up. So you still have no idea how Steelwind was used to murder Von Sanctus or Sybil. No, why did you not testify about that? Wasn't one of them strangled? I remember one of them being strangled. Not a clue. How do you not have a clue? Your autopsy guys suck. You have bodies. It's especially worse for Von Sanctus. That fire burned a lot of the physical evidence off of his body. What about Sybil? Was there any physical evidence on her body? No idea about that either. She didn't have any wounds either. Stop saying either. All we know is that she died of suffocation. There we go. So I knew somebody got killed somehow like that. All we know is that she died of suffocation. Okay. There's definitely more information we can glean from their investigation. If we can glean more information from your investigation just through this cross-examination that you haven't figured out in the last 2 days, you guys suck at your jobs. Normally strangulation victims have marks on their throat, right? Probably. But I distinctly remember someone mentioning something about that, so I don't know. It all started when we received a report from the Kingsguard. The prosecutor attacked Prince Alaric, and a fire had broken out in the common room. And this is mainly based on Prince Alaric's testimony, am I correct? Yeah, we still have no idea which transmutation spell she hit him with. Yeah, again, you guys suck at your jobs. I wonder if she transmuted all of them. What if she used polymorph on the victims and then killed them while they were frogs? Judging from the time of the report, this must have been well after all 3 of the murders occurred. Because obviously if when they polymorph back, that would destroy physical evidence, I imagine. Judging from the time of the report, this must have been well after all 3 of the murders occurred. Yeah, it was unfortunate how that played out. God, we're terrible. If Steelwind really was controlled, whoever controlled her knew how to get the job done quickly. That leaves the question of how they did this so efficiently. Why didn't they just use Steelwind's strike? That's what it's there for, right? We weren't sure what the deal with Steelwind was, so we went to the common room to put out the fire. Was that wise? Regardless of who it was, someone assaulted a Prince of Wyverngard. We were already dealing with the king who was trapped in that force cage. Honestly, a lot happened in that hour, and most of our attention was focused on keeping the royal family safe. We can already conclude that the attack on the king was a distraction. Whoever orchestrated this must have known we'd focus our attention on keeping the royal family safe. I guess that makes sense, and the casualties still include many knights from the Kingsguard. They probably had to spread their forces thin to protect everyone else and handle the fire in the common room. What did you do when you arrived at the common room, Commander? Well, when we got there, we noticed a bunch of unconscious knights in front of the prayer room. Is the prayer room and the common room anywhere near each other? No, it's not. So when you got to the common room, you noticed a bunch of knights in front of the prayer room? I don't follow that. When we got there, we noticed a bunch of unconscious knights in front of the prayer room. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to maybe explain. Did you see Arya or Celeste? Nope, they're just gonna carry on like that doesn't matter. No, we only saw the aftermath of their fight. There were marks and craters everywhere in that hallway. Pierce's time of death was 2:45 p.m., and the knights didn't arrive at the common room until 3:10 p.m. They didn't arrive at the prayer room until well after the battle had taken place. Hang on. Didn't arrive at the common room until 3:10. Didn't arrive at the prayer room until well after. We're talking like these rooms are close by when they're really not. Wait, wouldn't that mean you were in that room with Pierce's body for 25 minutes? Wouldn't that mean you were in that room with Pierce's body for 25 minutes? Why didn't you look for help? You weren't waking up for some reason, so I kept channeling my healing magic into you. You were there for 25 minutes? Damn. Looking back, I probably should have just looked for help. But even if Arya was unconscious, I didn't want to leave you alone in that room with her. Well, that's fair. Sorry, like it was our fault. Recalling that moment is clearly taking a toll on her mind. We should be more careful. Now, poor Celeste has been quiet this trial. I wonder if that's going to lead to something. We went to the prayer room. That's when we found Steelwind and Cuthbert's body unconscious next to Pierce's dead body. Judging from the timing, this would have been several minutes after he'd already died. Yeah, and we had no idea what was going on. Pierce was already dead, and you and Steelwind were unresponsive. I can see why I'd be unresponsive. I was hit with a spell specifically designed to make people sleep. But why would Arya be unresponsive too? We have no idea. We've never even heard of demonic possession until today. For all we know, it could have all been a side effect of being controlled for over an hour. We suppose that makes sense. But could that common thread truly be a mere coincidence? Maybe Beatrice put her to sleep too? Huh. We later found the bodies of Von Sanctus and Sybil too. That's when we realized that she offed all three of them. I wonder how long Beatrice was out. We gotta talk to the sisters about when they found her. That last statement was a little vague. Run it by me again? It's not here. Well, that's lame. That last sentence was a little vague. Perhaps we should ask him to elaborate more on one of the murders. But whose murder should he elaborate on? Well, I don't give a damn about Pierce. Von Sanctus is the one we know the least about. Can you elaborate more on Von Sanctus's murder? Was there any evidence that implied how he died? Like I said, it's trickier with Von Sanctus because the fire partially burned his body. And our divination magic could only tell that he died of suffocation. So they both died of suffocation. That's what I thought. That's the impression I got. I see, so there's no other physical evidence. Well, there is one thing. From his burn marks, we do know that he was hit with a firebolt before he died. We're guessing she wanted to weaken him before she dealt the final blow. So he took a direct attack from her before he died. Anyways, please add this to your testimony, Commander White. Sure, whatever you say, kid. So this is a new one, because I think we were at 5 statements before, and now we're at 6. From the burns on his body, she must have hit him with a firebolt to keep him from getting away. He didn't have anything to defend himself with. Well, that I take issue with, because I'm pretty sure he used Force Cage. Right, Firebolt is in her spell compendium. And Von Sanctus wasn't exactly a fighter, after all. Yeah, the poor sap didn't have a chance. He must have been in immense pain from that attack. Lucio's just like, whatever. Okay, I asked him to elaborate, and he did. Can we present Force Cage? For the duration, the caster creates a magical 10 by 10 by 10 cube around them. The walls of the cube are impenetrable and can't be destroyed by anything. They're impenetrable. Okay. Can I throw this at that? He didn't have anything to defend himself with. No, he had Force Cage. Tell me this works. Objection! Okay, good. So, for those of you who don't remember, not only does he know this spell, but there was evidence that he used it because there was a giant white square around where we found his corpse, which indicates that, well, that this spell was used, or that this spell was likely to have been used. Which is why I used it here. That's strange. What is it now? Commander White, you said that Steelwind attacked Von Sanctus with a firebolt before she suffocated him. Yeah, she probably wanted to injure him so he'd be easier to subdue. But that's what I find strange. Von Sanctus knew he was under attack. So wouldn't he cast Force Cage to repel her? I guess that's true. Von Sanctus was hardly a warrior, Cuthbert. Force Cage is an extremely useful spell, but it has to be aimed. He was hit with a firebolt, and he must have been in immense pain. I doubt he'd be able to think clearly under those circumstances. I'd normally agree with you, but the crime scene tells another story. Yeah, we Repario Arcanum that, we know. What do you mean, Mr. Cuthbert? What implies that Von Sanctus cast Force Cage? We know the answer to this. We just need to find it. Not the compendium. Yeah, there are traces of abjuration magic that forms a perfect square around the body. The area within the square seems far less burnt, too. And, Force Cage is abjuration. So, yeah. When we investigated the crime scene, we found traces of abjuration magic that formed a perfect square around the body. I'm sure if we measured the dimensions of that square, it would be 10 by 10 feet, which is the same length and width as the cube created by Force Cage. Like you said, he was in no shape to aim it. So he cast Force Cage on himself to create a makeshift barrier. Objection! Nonsense! If Von Sanctus had cast Force Cage on himself, he should have been protected from further harm. You see, the dragon opened his eyes with surprise like the last judge. Yeah, he does occasionally do that. He doesn't do it often, but he does do that. The other judge did it all the friggin' time. The other judge was shocked when, you know, anything happened, literally. You're back with tea and borscht. Nice. Yes, if Von Sanctus had cast Force Cage on himself, he should have been protected from further harm. I wonder if that's the reason Arya set the room on fire, to suffocate him by filling him with smoke. And that's why there was smoke billowing out of the building. The defendant wouldn't have been able to suffocate him after that. Perhaps there's some way to bypass Force Cage. And once again, your ignorance of the arcane arts is made apparent. Force Cage is one of the most powerful abjuration spells in existence. It can't be dispelled, and no one could teleport into or out of it. Right, Oster was also trapped in a Force Cage, and he had to wait for the hour duration to elapse. So how did Steelwind suffocate him? With smoke, right? Wait. If Force Cage is a perfectly closed space, isn't it possible that he ran out of air, or just that? That would be a glaring weakness. House Von Sanctus obviously designed that spell to allow oxygen through the barrier. Okay, so it probably allows smoke, too. How you feel about that, old man? Oh, wait a minute. And before you ask, poisonous gases can't be pushed through the barrier either. Oh. What about smoke, though? Only oxygen can travel through it. You know, oxygen in high enough doses is actually lethal. You do realize this, right? We only breathe air because it has a very low concentration of oxygen. Right, and even if they had used poisonous gas, the autopsy report wouldn't have said he was suffocated. With smoke, right? So maybe, okay, so maybe oxygen can travel through the bounds of a force cage, but there was no oxygen outside because of the smoke. So the smoke didn't get him, but he was still denied oxygen. How did Arya suffocate Von Sanctus despite that? Now we need to see the dragon make a silly remark and get confused. No, I think this judge is a little more competent than the judges that we're used to. Arya consumed all the oxygen in the common room. What? No, I feel like that's right. In the common room. Oh, the fire consumed all the oxygen in the common room. You son of a bitch. The fire consumed... Fine. Okay, fine, game. Fine. 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 Inhaling her mouth wide and inhaling like Kirby. I was picturing, Star Platinum inhaling all the air when they fought Justice in Stardust Crusaders. But yeah, same concept. I mean, Arya... The fire didn't do it. Arya did it with the fire. I mean, come on, game. Give this to me. Force Cage is specifically designed to allow oxygen through its barrier. But what if there was no oxygen left in the room? No oxygen? Yes, stupid. Ah, I see. I am stupid. It was the fire in the common room. The patron knew Arya couldn't harm Von Sanctus once he was in that force cage, so she started a fire to eat all of the oxygen within the room. There we go. The murder of Von Sanctus has been updated in our notes. Arya Steelwind attacked Von Sanctus with a firebolt. He reacted by casting Force Cage to protect himself. Seeing that she couldn't break through it, she started a fire to eat all the oxygen in the room. Von Sanctus was probably helpless as he suffocated from a lack of oxygen. What should have protected him ended up trapping him. You remember that episode, Star Platinum has some lung power, exactly. And the inability to dispel it ended up sealing his fate. Well, I suppose that explains how the defendant murdered Von Sanctus. But with that in mind, a lot of this plan sounds like it was improvised at the moment. Just like the murder of Pierce. And not only that, we assume that the patron used the same method to kill both Lord Von Sanctus and Lady Sybil. But I doubt Lady Sybil died under the same circumstances. Correct. There was only one fire. And if Sybil was in that force cage, the defendant wouldn't have been able to throw her body into Lake Galacron. Which means Sybil must have died by asphyxiation elsewhere. And it's clear our next course of action is to determine how Lady Sybil was murdered. But we still don't know where she was murdered. And the only witness who saw her around that time was the High Speaker, which was after the defendant disposed of Sybil's body. Well, the High Speaker's testimony is as good a place to start as any. For our next witness, the defense would like to call High Speaker Theon Arcus to the stand. What's wrong? It's nothing. Please carry on. Why would you pause? Why would you pause? Why are you pausey person? Kingsguard, escort High Speaker Arcus to the witness stand. It's fine. Everything is fine. There's a dragon behind me. It's fine. This is fine. Witness, you will testify about... Oh, great and blessed Scaled Lord. Oh, never mind. He's gonna simp. I forgot. Yeah, of course. Of course he's just gonna prostrate himself. Oh, great and blessed Scaled Lord. To think you would grace us with your presence. Oh my god. Rathalion is just like, shut the hell up. Tonight's tea, by the way, is vanilla chai. Ah, nice. Tonight there is no tea. There is sparkling water, coffee, and more coffee. Rathalion, oh my god. Forgive me, Lord Ithalian. I spoke out of turn. You must think I'm an arrogant fool. I mean, if you were the priest of a dragon, then, and you appeared right in front of that dragon, I mean, you know, fair enough, but still, come on, we don't need this right now. It looks like the witness is schmoozing the judge for once. I mean, understandable. Schmoozing also. How many times do I have to tell you people that I'm not a god? Yes, I revere and serve the god of dragons, but I'm not Bahamut's avatar. But you're the scaled... He is the scaled lord. He's literally the scaled lord. I'm just a dragon. I'm not even a powerful one. Guys, he's only a dragon. There's no reason to be impressed. It's just a dragon, you know, whatever. I'm not a deity. Such humility. That's exactly what Bahamut's avatar would say. I swear to God. I like this dragon. He even swears by the god's name. No, he's just swearing, actually. Lucio, please handle this, preferably with your axe. Perhaps another approach is warranted. I will get my axe. My axe is out. High Speaker Arcus, the great and powerful Rathalion calls upon you today. We require your... You require my blood. I'm gonna get your blood if you don't start talking. Of course, I will gladly give my life for the Scaled Lord. What? No. Oh, there's a sprite. We haven't gotten to see Lucio's actual legitimately scared sprite. Of course, my blood could never be enough. Would you just... Okay, now we're back to the Miles Edgeworth tradition of not being able to get the name and profession out of the witness. Yeah, the dragon is saying in his head, oh god, not another one, yep. I will do as you wish, my lord. It might take some time, though. I'll need some time to gather some followers and... Do not piss off the dragon. Oh my god, we just want your testimony. Just tell us what you saw when Miss Steelwind was at the westward balcony yesterday. Oh, I see. So no blood. If that's what you truly wish, my lord. Are we just gonna ignore how ready he was to commit mass murder? Be quiet, we just got him to calm down. Don't provoke him! He's gonna kill everyone in the gallery just to make the dragon happy. I was doing some paperwork in my quarters and I suppose I lost track of the time. My alarm went off and I realized it was time for my afternoon prayers. I began heading to the prayer room when I spotted Lady Steelwind looking over the westward balcony. I tried to greet her, but she didn't respond to me. That's when I noticed she was pushing something large over the balcony and into Lake Galacrond. I asked her what she was doing, but again she ignored me and went toward the prayer room. I thought nothing of it and made my way there as well, and that's when the guards there turned me away. I went back to my quarters to do my prayers there. Considering the timing of it all, this must have all happened minutes before she began attacking the prayer room. Yes, I consider myself lucky. The Scaled Lord must have graced me with divine luck. Thank you for that back there. Please, just stop. Just stop. I've had enough. Considering how quickly she was moving, there has to be a reason why she waited there. Was she waiting for the High Speaker to leave? Perhaps we should closely examine the timing of these events. Yeah, she did wait at certain points for certain things. It also seemed like she was waiting for Celeste outside the prayer room, too. I was doing some paperwork in my quarters, and I suppose I lost track of the time. My alarm went off, and I realized that it was time for my afternoon prayers. An alarm? It's a rudimentary artificery device. It's high technology in these times. I use it to remind myself to conduct daily prayers. I see. And do you have it set to go off at a specific time? Yes, it's set to go off at 2:10 p.m., 5 minutes before my afternoon prayers. I began heading to the prayer room when I spotted Lady Steelwind looking over the westward balcony. Is it going to be important that he has an alarm clock? What was her expression like? It was very cold and emotionless. The patron must have had control of her when this happened. Oh, I see you're finally buying into our story here, eh? The dragon wishes he would forget. Yep. Yep, that certainly makes the most... Oh, the dragon wishes he would forget his prayer time? That certainly makes the most sense. Right. What time did this happen? It was shortly after my alarm went off. It would definitely be before 2:15 p.m. Standard cultist nonsense, exactly. It was still before 2:15 p.m. Our encounter was short. That's when I noticed she was pushing something large over the balcony and into Lake Galacron. I'll have more coffee, sure. I can't have too much coffee when I'm doing this much talking. And that must have been Sybil's body. I suppose so. You don't sound so sure of it yourself. It's just that I recall Lady Sybil's garb to be much brighter. Meanwhile, the thing I saw Lady Steelwind throw over the balcony was much darker. Yeah, she cast like stone skid or whatever. Right, you mentioned that before. It's clear it was just a trick of the sunlight. That balcony is directly above where we found Lady Sybil's body in Lake Galacron. You obviously saw the defendant dumping the body. What else could it have been? Yes, I suppose you're right. Quit moving sprites like that. This game engine is a little bit wonky. I asked her what she was doing, but again she ignored me and went toward the prayer room. The patron was probably trying to keep her on track, but I'm surprised she didn't attack you. Even if the patron was trying to frame her, she hadn't killed Pierce yet. Yes, I'm a little confused about that myself, but perhaps I should just be happy I came out of that encounter unharmed. Anyways, how long did you talk to her? Our encounter was very brief since she was ignoring me. It couldn't have lasted for more than 2 minutes. I thought nothing of it and made my way there as well. That's when the guards there turned me away. Right, and these guards are still comatose. It makes us uneasy that we still don't have an explanation for that. Yeah, that's true. I do feel like this is something we need to try to iron out, because the times when people went certain places when they were like, "Did you see Celeste and Arya?" No, I didn't. And also the guards were awake by the time the speaker got there, but they were comatose when Celeste came out. I have a feeling there's some unevenness to some of these things, but I can't keep track of it enough to figure out when and where. It makes us uneasy that we still don't have an explanation for that. Did the Empress of Discord use some kind of demonic magic to do that? The Eye of Horus doesn't leave magical traces, so it's possible that demonic magic is the same. Either way, it's awfully convenient he left right before the attack on the prayer room happened. But we suppose we'll have to put a pin in that for now. Anyway, what time did that happen? I believe it was 2:15 p.m. That's when I usually arrive at the prayer room. I went back to my quarters to do my prayers there. You were in your quarters during the massacre? Yes, as I've mentioned before, my room is magically soundproof. My guards and I were woefully unaware of what was happening. We didn't know what was happening until some members of the King's Guard came to inform me of what happened to the king. So members of the King's Guard were there with him, and he mentioned that his guards were there too. They can all probably verify this, but it's still a little hard to believe how close he came to harm that day. I wonder if he's going to end up being the patron or something, or if he's going to be a bad guy somehow. Anyways, how long were you in your quarters for? I waited there until the King's Guard notified me that it was safe. I think I waited there until 3:15 p.m., which was around the time that Arya was arrested. There's a very small time frame between Sybil's death and Arya's attack on the prayer room. The details of his testimony could make a huge difference depending on when each event happened. We should see if he remembers the exact time each part of his testimony occurred. Well, we've pressed everything. I mean, it is a pretty small time frame. We're talking 2:10 to 2:15. Time for afternoon prayers. Heading to the prayer room. Before 2:15, obviously. It was still before 2... It just keeps pounding it. It was before 2:15. It was still before 2:15. She was pushing something into the lake. It was still before 2:15. I only spent about 2 hours trying to speak to her. And he was there at 2:15. So... time for afternoon prayers. So this was like 1 minute. Our encounter was short. I mean, it is a tight time frame, but I'm not sure, A, how I really push on that, or B, what the contradiction is. It's just a tight time frame. Alright, what do we got here for autopsy? Oh! Well, there's a problem. died at 2:18. Cause of... Oh, so when Sybil was pushed over the edge, maybe she wasn't dead yet. She was like encased in rock or something from stone skin or whatever, which again seems like a design oversight. But I don't know. Arya did something. What does Arya got going on here? Mend wounds, firebolt, shape liquid, irrelevant. Dispel magic, steel wind strike, detect magic, hold creature. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention this on the stream. I was trying to remember because I was going through Arya's spell compendium last stream and I was like, hold creature. Why does that sound familiar? She used that spell on the headmaster. She used that spell on the headmaster. Where is that? Hold. There it is. Hodl. Hodl. So I don't know if this was the exact incantation, but I believe this is what she yelled in the courtroom at the end of case 2 to keep the headmaster from trying to get the arcane construct to wipe its logs. So that's where she used that spell before. I knew it sounded familiar. But it's possible she polymorphed Sybil into something that couldn't really deal with being pushed in the water, and because she was surrounded by dirt from stone skin, she couldn't do anything about it. So, caster creates a thick layer of stone around their body, deflects and protects the caster from physical trauma. It can slowly be broken through continuous attacks, but as long as the caster concentrates, the stone layer will repair itself. I wonder if that's how she ended up dying, essentially drowning. So okay, that's our key. Where do we throw it? We're still before 2:15. We don't get penalized, so I'm just gonna have to throw this at things and see where it sticks, because this seems like the obvious contradiction. Objection! All right, and it is the obvious contradiction. The mini game with trying to form the sentences has messed me up a lot today, but I think I've gotten every objection right first try. Wait, what? Is something wrong? There is, but I'm not really sure what it means. Stop stammering and say what you want to say. All right, settle down. Hi, speaker. You said that you saw Arya dumping something over the ledge of the balcony. Was it not? I can't imagine it wasn't Sybil. It probably was Sybil and she died in the river. There's no need to be vague, Cuthbert. It's clear from the evidence that he saw my daughter dumping Lady Sybil's body. That's the thing, Lord Steelwind. It couldn't have been Sybil's body. What are you talking about? I'm just going to keep slamming things. You are going to bring this building down on our heads. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? This place is already ready to crumble. You guys keep smashing things. Rock's going to fall, hit someone in the head. We're going to have another body on our hands. The location from that balcony to where we found Lady Sybil's body lines up perfectly. That may be, but the witness just said he saw Arya dumping the body before 2:15 p.m. Wait! Wait, what was that about fish sticks in the chat? You see it too, don't you, Lucio? How did Arya dump Coraline Sybil's body into Lake Galacron before 2:15 p.m. if her time of death was 2:18 p.m.? I see, that does seem peculiar. But we know the defendant threw Sybil's body from that balcony. There would be no other explanation for how it ended up there. Yes, that's also true. Perhaps she was still alive when Arya threw her off that balcony. That's what Psy'Min says. She could have been knocked unconscious with a sleep spell. Your Grace, there were no traces of conjuration magic on her body. And even if she was asleep, she wouldn't have survived a fall from that height. Well, she didn't. The distance from that balcony to the lake is more than 30 stories. And the autopsy report says that the cause of death was suffocation, not blunt force. Yeah, but stone skin. Stone skin, my guy. Right. So when did she die? She died after she hit the water. She had to have. She must have died after she hit the water. But Mr. Cuthbert, Lucio just said that she would have died upon impact. There's those wide eyes again. He's like, did someone mention fish sticks? But that's assuming she didn't do anything to lessen the blow. She might have had the opportunity to cast a spell to protect herself. Oh, is that why Is that why the dirt is only at the ledge of the balcony? I wondered about that. That might explain why her body isn't as damaged despite falling from such a great height. Oh, come on. Again, that doesn't match with the evidence. Lady Sybil's spell compendium contains the spells Slow Fall. Oh, that's actually a very, very, very good point. If she had the opportunity to cast a spell, she would have used that spell to slow her descent. Hang on. How affected by Slow Fall? It says fall significantly slower. I wonder if Stone Skin sort of counteracts that and still make, like, they still fell fast, they just didn't fall as fast. If she had the opportunity to cast a spell, she would have used that spell to slow her descent. And she wouldn't have taken any damage from hitting the lake if she'd done that. I mean, that is that is a really good point. You know what, Beardo? I gotta give that to you. But just indulge me for a second. What spell did Sybil cast on herself? I mean, this seems obvious. She must have cast Stone Skin on herself. Stone Skin? Of course, she must have cast Stone Skin on herself before she got pushed over the edge. And then she cast Slow Fall, but by then it was like a little too late. If you recall, the High Speaker mentioned that something was strange about the object Arya threw over the balcony. Yeah, that too. Maybe she just drowned. Because being surrounded by... I mean, you'd think she'd be able to dispel it, but I guess not. It was much darker and didn't match with Sybil's usual garb. Almost as if there was something else Sybil was wearing. That object was actually Lady Sybil... Oh, I was about to say, is that a grammar error again? No, that's right. That object was actually Lady Sybil protected by a layer of stone. But that still doesn't explain why she would cast that instead of Slow Fall. He's right. No, I think I've got this. Why did Sybil cast Stone Skin on herself? Because Arya was attacking her before she was thrown in the lake. Arya... Well, Sybil was still alive before being thrown. Or cast Stone Skin before being thrown in the lake. Drowning would leave water in the lungs. It would, but I'm not sure if magic would pick that up. These guys do autopsies weird. She cast Stone Skin on herself before she was thrown into the lake. Arya must have attacked her, and she cast that spell in response. Either that, or Stone Skin acts like Force Cage where it only lets oxygen through, but there's no oxygen. Huh. That would protect her from the Steel Wind Strike, which Arya didn't use on either her or Von Sanctus. But that doesn't seem quite right. What do you mean? I may not have seen much, but I saw that the object Arya dumped was stiff and motionless. If it had been Lady Sybil, she would have been struggling against her, wouldn't she? That's a good point too. Hang on a second. Does Stone Skin require a gesture? Yep, create next with both arms. So if Arya was using Hold Creature, she wouldn't have been able to cast that. So run that by me again. Arya dumped was stiff and motionless. Or maybe she cast Hold Creature afterward. That's a good point too. The High Speaker saw Arya dumping a motionless Sybil. But if we assume my logic is correct, she would have also still been alive. I'm gonna say that she cast Hold Creature after Stone Skin. Arya... No, Sybil was affected by a spell. Yep, she must have been affected by a spell. And considering it kept her from resisting Arya, the patron must have made Arya cast that spell on her. Easy peasy. Which spell was it? Already said it. Hold Creature. It was Hold Creature. Sybil must have cast Stone Skin on herself when Arya attacked her. The patron must have known that Arya couldn't physically damage her like that, so they ordered her to restrain Sybil with that spell. Damn it, that would work. And Sybil died by suffocation. That's right, Lucio. How did Sybil suffocate? Even if she was restrained, Sybil was still protected by Stone Skin. That would have left only one option for the patron. Sybil drowned in Lake Galacrond. Sybil suffocated when Arya threw her into Lake Galacrond. Her stone skin lessened the impact of the fall, but it also made her drop like a literal rock. Arya's Hold Creature spell prevented her from moving or releasing her spell. She was helpless as she sank to the bottom of the lake. There we go. It all adds up. I believe that covers all 3 of the murders then. We barely touched on Pierce, but, you know, fuck him. Yes. Lord Von Sanctus suffocated to death in his own force cage. Lady Sybil drowned after Arya cast Hold Creature spell on her. And Lord Pierce died after being wounded by a blade created with Shape Liquid. I'm gonna need some elaboration on that, because I'm not sure. Yeah, see, Arya can cast Shape Liquid. Wait a minute, does Shape Liquid allow you to freeze things? Where's Shape Liquid? Where's my Shape Liquid at? Where is Shape Liquid? Ah, there. Oh yeah, that's right. We got this spell first because Celeste almost dumped her tea. While concentrating on the spell, the caster can magically manipulate up to 10 liters of liquid and form complex shapes. At any time, the caster can choose to freeze the liquid and solidify its current shape. Okay, so that's what I wasn't sure about, wanted to verify. So we don't need Frost Wave like Pierce may have used. You don't actually need that to make a liquid blade. Shape Liquid will freeze it. And Lord Pierce died after being wounded by a blade created with Shape Liquid. The only common thread I see is that the patron used some of the victim's magics against them. I guess that's also kind of true. But how does that connect to Pierce? Did he cast Shape Liquid to make a blade to defend himself? That would be interesting. Frostwave is out on the streets of Aranax still seeking a job. Is that just because it hasn't been used yet? Maybe the murderer took it from him and used it against him. No, he was knocked unconscious. Yeah, that's true. He was asleep like we were. He couldn't have been the one to create that blade. Interesting. Anyway, whoever did this had an in-depth knowledge of each of the spells they used to defend themselves. They knew that Von Sanctus couldn't dispel his own force cage, and they also knew that he still needed oxygen from within it. And in Sybil's case, they knew Arya couldn't physically harm her once she had Stone Skin active. They also knew that Hold Creature would prevent Sybil from dispelling her own Stone Skin. Not only that, they did all this at a quick time frame. Von Sanctus and Sybil died within 13 minutes of each other. And if Arya hadn't encountered Celeste, Pierce might have died just as quickly. So whoever did this had an in-depth knowledge of high-level magic. Well, that could still be a lot of people. Not only that, they came up with creative ways to bypass the defenses put up by Von Sanctus and Sybil. Yes, they had the ability to react quickly and decisively. Are we implying they were nearby? But considering the circumstances, that hardly narrows it down. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Several members of the Four Pillar families were present that day. Each and every one of them studied at the Imperial Academy. They would all be knowledgeable in magic and its applications. Something they're saying isn't sitting right by us for some reason. There's something there, so why can't we see it? What is the something that's there? I'm not sure I'm seeing it. Is it just that someone needed to be nearby to be able to see what Arya was doing to be able to counter these things? Because we haven't really established that the person who takes control of someone doesn't see what they see and hear what they hear. Are we implying that Eris had to be invisible and standing nearby, watching this stuff happening, in order to be able to direct these reactions? Ugh, it's no use. We just can't piece it together yet. I wonder if I'm right, or I wonder if it's something else. But we're not finished yet. There's another angle to this, considering who the patron did and didn't target. What was similar about some of the targets? The victims were Lord Von Sanctus, Coralyn, Sybil, and Garrick Pierce. What's a similarity we can draw between at least two of them while they were heads of houses? Von Sanctus and Sybil are house leaders of pillar families. Von Sanctus and Sybil were the heads of their respective noble houses. Are you saying the patron's goal was to assassinate leaders of the Four Pillars? That's the motive that makes the most sense, but that does leave one question. Don't be coy, I'm not daft, Cuthbert, that we're accusing you now. Actually, I highly doubt it was you. Really now. Out of most of the people there, you could have easily tricked your daughter into signing a blood contract. But why would you need to do that? You're the Grand General of Wivengard's military, and the cathedral was filled with your men. You could have easily equipped one of your best mages to carry out this massacre. And you wouldn't even need to make a deal with a demon to do it. So why wasn't Lucio targeted then? Well, I feel like he's being targeted now. He's being taken advantage of and used. From her encounter with Celeste, it's clear there's a limit to Arya's combat capabilities. The patron might have simply doubted Arya's ability to defeat the Grand General. There's also that. We don't have his spell compendium. But there's also another explanation. Why didn't the patron target Lucio Steelwind? The patron wanted to frame Arya for the murders. House Steelwind for the murders? The whole house? Ah, okay. The patron wanted people to suspect House Steelwind for the murders. They used Lucio Steelwind's daughter to commit the crime. Then they intentionally left him alive to cast suspicion on him. That's why they used my daughter? Is that a tinge of anger we feel from him? Anyway, that leads me to my next point. Imagine if we never discovered Arya's blood contract with the Empress of Discord. What would have happened? We'd still think that Miss Steelwind succumbed to Mage Blight. She would have been convicted for the murders, and trust in House Steelwind would be forever diminished. About a month ago, House Frege lost its head, and his successor, Loth Frege, was woefully unprepared to take his place. Hey, I'm sitting right here, motherfucker! Now, the heads of House Von Sanctus and House Sybil are dead, with House Steelwind being held responsible for it all. All four of the Pillar families would have been weakened as a result of the massacre. But I think there's another layer to this. Everything fits together if we assume that the patron's goal was to weaken the Pillar families. Yeah, but it's also the fact that Steelwind was gonna, or Arya I should say, was set to marry the king. That's gotta be part of it too. Except for the murder of Garrick Pierce. So that's gotta be because he knew... Oh, we're about to involve Celeste in this. Because Garrick knew something. How? That means Celeste is a key in this in some way, possibly, maybe. Yes, in contrast to Sybil and Von Sanctus, Pierce's political power pales in comparison. Furthermore, Pierce was already scheduled to be executed next month for the murder of Flintheart McCoy. That's another thing. Why murder a guy that's already going to get killed? Why did the patron target Garrick Pierce? Why would the patron go to the trouble of murdering a condemned man? Because Pierce knew the identity of Celeste's parents, and that's going to be very important. The patron murdered Pierce because they needed him to die as quickly as possible. Pierce knew the identity of Celeste's biological parents. My parents? Do you remember what Pierce said when we showed up for the meeting? Yeah, he said, yeah, you finally arrived. I suppose this means you finally decided. Wait, you two! We got your letter. Letter? What letter? You sent us a letter, Pierce. It said that you knew who Celeste's parents were. I did send that letter, but not to you two. We weren't the... I didn't even do his voice. I'm so involved in the story, I had a voice all for Pierce, and I just skipped right over it. I was like, whatever. I want to know where this is going. We weren't the intended recipients of that letter. That's right! Like, someone tore off the bottom half of that thing. So that leaves one last question. And the music just cut the fuck out. This is a question that's been on my mind. Because it has to be someone Pierce would send the letter to, but also someone who would forward that letter to us. And I'm kind of thinking maybe that might be it. The patron. Oh, fucksicles. There's only one person Pierce could have sent that letter to. The person who orchestrated the massacre in the first place, the patron. But that means the patron is someone who would be threatened by Celeste's parentage. Interesting. That's the first actual clue we've gotten. Order of the court! I am a goddamn dragon and you will shut up. If we want a great last case culprit, give them a the blank name. Oh, like the patron? It's the Phantom! But I don't understand. I'm sorry, I know this is a lot to take in, but I think they were targeting you for some reason. Pierce knew the identity of Celeste's parents and attempted to blackmail the patron with this. Instead of complying with Pierce's demands, the patron instead sent this letter to me. But why go through the trouble of luring you there? They could have just allowed Pierce to wait in the prayer room while the defendant made her way to murder him. Again, that's what I was wondering about. Don't say you're a dragon or else that creepy priest is going to do something. Well, some people are up for those simps, man. There's a lot of dragon VTubers out there. Looking back on it, it's possible they wanted to kill Celeste, too. Oh, is that why they were waiting? They were waiting for Celeste to show up because they thought Arya could actually take her. But it turns out Celeste was tougher than they thought she was. That's interesting. That's spicy. Even if he's not a particularly powerful dragon, he's still a dragon. I wouldn't test his patience. Yeah, he's just a regular old dragon. You heard him say it himself, right? He's just a dragon. Yeah, he's just a perfectly normal dragon. Stop making such a big deal out of it. Jeez, what the hell? They knew I wouldn't meet with Pierce alone, and the information he had was about her. The patron correctly guessed that I'd bring her with me. By killing both Pierce and Celeste, they'd eliminate any threat Celeste would pose to them. Huh. But who would be threatened by such information? Yeah, let's get into this. Let's pull on this thread. The mere existence of McCoy posed a threat to them. Huh. Time for some speculation. It must have something to do with her birthright. Right. So who would that leave? The royal family? It wouldn't be the Eye Taker. Wait. It could be the Eye Taker. Considering Eris's involvement with that family. This is okay, let me think about this. I guess Pierce could have also petitioned the Eye Taker for help with this. That would track as well. Okay, so maybe Celeste isn't part of a big, huge, noble family, but she is from the same house, branch, tree, whatever, that the Eye Taker was from. The family name that starts with an L that I don't even friggin' remember. I wonder if he's in my notes. I guess it wouldn't list his name anyway, considering our dudes don't know it. I'm gonna say the Eye Taker. I don't know why our boy would think this, but the fact that Eris, I assume, is either the patron or the Empress, this would track. Although I'm not sure why Celeste would be a threat. If anything, someone under the same bloodline as the Eye Taker should be a puppet to Iris. She shouldn't give two shits. Why would she care about killing Celeste when she can literally just... She owns you. She owns your ass. But it's either that or the royal family, and I'm kind of hoping it's not the royal family, because Celeste is just like, you know, that would be too tropey. It was just like, oh, I was a princess the whole time. Nah, screw that. Let's go Eye Taker. What if the Eye Taker orchestrated this whole thing? Oh, I didn't get the music. I didn't get the little sound effect, so that might not be it. The Eye Taker, that common criminal? What reason would he have to do this? I heard firsthand he was planning to expand his influence. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I think it might be the royal family. I hope it's not, but... Backup plan. What if Celeste was part of the royal family or planning to use her to take the throne? On the other hand, maybe it's House Frege, because we've already learned that Eris has plans for House Frege. Would she inherit the house if her position was known? What if Celeste was part of the royal family or planning to use her to take the throne? But if he wanted to do so, why would he put McCoy in danger by having my daughter attack her? Not only that, he had the perfect opportunity to murder his majesty Imagine if he had placed a more lethal contingent spell in that glyph. Okay. I'm gonna go with Frege. I recall during... Oh, maybe... The music hasn't cut... I mean, I haven't heard the correct sound yet. Maybe it's Steelwind? I feel like Lucio wouldn't be acting like this if it was Steelwind. If we're gonna accuse him, we're gonna need some meat. I recall during Beatrice Frege's trial, we heard of William Frege's last will and testimony. It mentioned that House Frege's assets would be divided evenly between all of his children. If McCoy were to be revealed as a Frege, his daughters would be legally obligated to share the estate with her. Could I seriously be a Frege? I mean, I speculated it. I didn't really believe it. I don't have a whole lot to hang that on, but it was kind of my first guess. I don't want to suspect Loth or Miriam, but we need to consider every possibility. And as we've seen, the Freges are no strangers to making deals with demons. No, it doesn't fit. What are you basing that on? I tend to be a good judge of character. They just don't seem like the type to do something like that. Ah, you're far too trusting. I hold no doubt that any of William's children would be capable of doing something like this. Okay, so... Why is it putting a check... It never puts a check mark next to the final item. This game's engine. I don't want to guess the royal family. It's too easy. But I have a feeling it's what I'm going to be looking for. It is a checkmark bug. We've seen it several times now. I'm going to go with Steelwind. Nope, it's royal family. Fuck me. Damn it. That's what I didn't want. What? I'm a princess, actually? Damn. As much as I have my doubts, House Steelwind is the only Pillar family whose house leaders survived the past month. You think I'm McCoy's biological father? Really now? Does this mean I have to join for those stupid Disney princess specials now? Yep, you sure do. You're barely a Okay, Celeste is saying that. You're barely a father to your actual daughter. I'm only stating the possibility for the sake of argument. As I've said, it wouldn't make sense for you to frame your own daughter when House Steelwind would be blamed. Well, we need to consider every possibility. Okay, no, I guess we're going with royal family. Wait a minute! I haven't gotten a single success sound for any of these. I literally clicked every single one. Are they all wrong? What the crap? Is there a fifth option that I'm not going to get until I've picked all of these? King de Wyverngard just recently died. What if Celeste was a member of the royal family? You think I'm a Disney princess? I don't want to suspect Oster, but we need to consider every possibility. Are they all wrong? What the hell? When it comes to conflicts of inheritance, a royal line of succession is the first thing that comes to mind. Watch her be related to Von Sanctus. She's going to hate that. Not only that, the king would have the authority to pardon Pierce for his crimes. No, wait, what about Sybil's house? Because Sybil's house was the judicial one. It would make sense to send the letter there, wouldn't it? Not only that, the king would have the authority to pardon Pierce for his crimes, but that wouldn't entirely make sense. What do you mean? If McCoy was abandoned at a tavern in Cordhaven, we must assume she's a bastard child. Okay, I don't know why you have to bring that. Celeste is like, I'm right here. My point is that King Olivier wouldn't abandon a child of pure royal blood. The kingdom requires heirs to continue the royal bloodline. He would have leveraged her in a diplomatic marriage. That's disgusting. Yeah, well, that's how we roll. That's diplomacy, Cuthbert. Anyways, even if McCoy was of royal blood, Oster is the king's eldest child. And he's of pure royal blood. McCoy would have no claim to the throne under these circumstances. Right. I see what you mean. Is it literally a fifth option? I suppose that eliminates Oster for now, but I can't think of anyone else. Yes, there's a flaw with each suspect. Interesting, so all four were wrong. Curious. So it was either House Von Sanctus or House Sybil. I would assume House Sybil based on Pierce's behavior, but we'll see. Her being a royal would make zero sense. I'm very happy that's the case, because like I said, that would be tropey as hell and a little disappointing, very unoriginal. There's a flaw with each suspect. Your logic is clearly flawed. You're flawed. Did I mention you're flawed? Well, I don't see you coming up with any ideas. There's something here I'm not seeing, but I know I'm close. There's a missing piece that ties this all together. Regardless, we still have no idea who this Empress of Discord is. And we've got about 2.5 hours to figure it out before Psy'Min has to end the stream. I am loath to allow such an individual to walk freely through Wyverngard. Your Grace, you've been alive since the creation of Wyvern and magic. Do you know who this demon is? I can't say I do. Demons tend to take on many titles over their lifetimes. But whoever this Empress is, they are brave to so blatantly encroach on my domain like this. You guys really need to start suspecting Eris, I swear. Well, I suppose we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get there. We've obtained a lot of information today, but we clearly have many questions that need to be answered. Is that the end of the trial? We move on to investigation? How should we proceed? Ugh. What is it, Mr. Cuthbert? I can't help but feel that there's something here I'm not seeing. I just can't put my finger on it. We have been working at this for quite a while. Perhaps we should suspend proceedings so that we can look into these new leads. I have no objections. It would give my men some time to look into what we've discovered today. Whoa, what the hell was that? The screen cut to Cuthbert and immediately hard cut to the dragon. Was that an Eris or a bug? I can never tell now. Then it settled. We'll be postponing proceedings for now. Hang on, did Cuthbert say something? No? Alright. We'll be postponing proceedings for now, but you'll all be expected to return here by tomorrow morning. You are all free to return to your homes for the time being. But make no mistake, the Kingsguard will be keeping careful watch over all of you.